A very good morning to you all. This week we are looking at a rather unusual yet fascinating item that's far from well understood and may in actual fact be beyond our comprehension. Nonetheless, we're going to give it a try as we take a look at the NEBULA ARCANUM from Terraria. The NEBULA ARCANUM is a mysterious device crafted at the ancient manipulator from merely nebula fragments, and appears as a rotating sphere of energy. It's able to fire a sort of spinning vortex, each of which is capable of inflicting significant damage and then explodes into multiple smaller projectiles, themselves able to explode on contact with a target, dealing further damage in the localized area. An interesting point to note is that the item seems to have some sort of metallic band around it when active, which is absent when in use. While clearly a highly damaging weapon of cosmic design, the NEBULA ARCANUM is all but an enigma to anyone who uses it, with much of its functionality being completely alien. The name itself illustrates the extent of its mystery, as the word arcanum is literally another term for secrets, indicating that the item is a secret known only to the beings of the nebula. Although merely appearing as a ball of energy, the truth behind the NEBULA ARCANUM may be much more complicated, as it's highly likely that the sphere is really a miniature wormhole, or some similar form of rent in spacetime, with the projectiles it releases anything from superheated matter originating in a stellar nursery, to fragments of an actual star, or even some other completely unknown form of cosmic phenomenon. Interestingly, when not in use, the item is bound by what appears to be a metallic ring of some definition, which vanishes when the device is activated. It could be that this is some sort of safety mechanism that prevents anything from passing through the rift when it's not in use. If this is all true, then it also insinuates that the nebula fragments have the ability to bend space-time to a huge degree when arranged correctly, meaning that the creatures of the nebula may have been powerful almost beyond compare, easily on par with the strength of the outer gods. While no legends are known to exist in relation to the NEBULA ARCANUM specifically, there are myths that speculate that the nebula creatures are indeed incredibly powerful, forged by forced evolution over eons to the point they're able to rival and even subdue the Moonlord himself. The stories go on to explain that the nebula creatures were able to attain such biological perfection by assimilating the genetics of other species from across the universe, so it stands to reason that, in order to achieve that sort of cosmos-spanning travel, they used the same abilities as the NEBULA ARCANUM to fold space and rapidly travel between worlds. It could even be that if someone using the Arcanum were to possess sufficient magical aptitude, then they would be able to open a rift large enough to travel through. As it is though, most users of the item, including the champion of Terraria, are only able to open one large enough to allow cosmic energy to pass through, which although paling in comparison to what the nebula creatures may have been able to achieve, it's hardly a small feat in itself. The NEBULA ARCANUM is a unique and very impressive item, but when the whole scope of its potential power is considered, it becomes cosmically significant. Although even the champion of Terraria may only be able to conjure enough mana to open a small portal, theoretically, if an unlimited amount of mana could be channeled into it, the entire universe could be bent and reshaped at will. The ultimate potential of this item cannot be understated, and for that reason, it's been given an artifact rating of extraordinary. So a relatively powerful weapon that turns out to be something you can use to mold reality itself. Can't say I was expecting that when I first looked over the file, but I guess that's why we look into these things, because ultimately you never know what you'll discover. Make sure to subscribe for upcoming course content and become a patron to support the lecture series. Make sure to have a great week, and please try not to open any portals to deep space. I really can't be dealing with that again.